can go to any house and you'll find women, men, grandmas selling drugs. 80 ਸਾਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਮਾਤਾਵਾਂ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਵੇਚਦੀਆਂ. They've been destroyed.
ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਵੇਚਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਰੁਲ ਗਏ. ਮੇਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਯਾਦ ਕਰ ਲਿਓ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਵੇਚਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਦੂਜਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਬਾਦ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ.
We're going through a silent genocide. We are being destroyed as a community, as people, and our heritage is being stripped from us.
ਪਿੰਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਦਾਂ ਆ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਮੌਤ ਆਈ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ. ਘਰ ਘਰ ਇੰਨੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਕੋਠੀਆਂ, ਤਾਲੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਕੋਠੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ.
ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਕੋਠੀਆਂ ਪਰ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਖਾਲੀ ਪਿੰਡ.
So welcome to this special episode where today we have Bhai Gurkeerat Singh from Saving Punjab. We have Bhai Singh, also known as Kotha Guru if you search him online on social media. And today we're going to be discussing a very important issue. As you've seen from the previous videos on Boss TV, we've talked about the current issues in Punjab. We've talked about the movement of Water State Punjab when it comes to Bhai Amarpal Singh and many different topics. And there's so many topics to talk about. But what we decided to do today is take out one topic, and that is when it comes to the drugs issue in Punjab. So just before we go into that issue, just Bhai Gurkeerat Singh from Saving Punjab, can you just very quickly introduce what is Saving Punjab, just for the Sangha that don't know?
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Saving Punjab is a research-based educational organisation. In simple terms, we are trying to find out the root cause of the problems in Punjab using both primary and secondary data, meaning using data that's already existing from people that are doing research on the ground and also doing our own research with our researchers on the ground, and then presenting them findings to the Sangat to create at first an awareness campaign to hopefully make people aware of the issues in Punjab, and then looking to start projects like the My Pind project, which is coming up, to start working on the projects and creating change in Punjab.
Thank you, Bhai Gurkeerat Singh. Just a bit about your own experiences when it comes to the issues in Punjab.
Hanji, so for me it was interesting because I was able to be in Punjab, and firsthand I saw on the ground in Punjab how nashe and drugs are so easily available. Anyone who wants, whether you're 10 years old or whether you're 80 years old, anyone who wants to get close to these drugs and start testing these drugs and doing these drugs, it was very, very, it was like easier than going to a shop and buying flour. Drugs would be on your doorstep. So I saw that firsthand, and when I started witnessing that these people in Punjab, their lives are being destroyed, houses are being destroyed, there's no family, there's no village in Punjab ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕੋਈ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਬਚਿਆ ਨਸ਼ਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ. And how can, like, the numbers by Gurpreet Singh will go into, but it just blows you away that ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਜਵਾਨੀ ਆ, it's being destroyed. ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਗਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਫੁਲਵਾੜੀ ਜਾਂ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦੀ ਫੁਲਵਾੜੀ ਗਾਂ ਵਧਾਉਣੀ ਸੀਗੀ, ਅੱਜ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਕੋਈ ਰਸਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ. ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਤੇ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ, they have no future, and there's no help being provided to them. And often it's heard, and the rumors that you see and the facts that come up is that the state and the state leaders are involved in these drug trade. So that's what I feel like is important to touch on today. And us sitting in the diaspora, we sitting in the diaspora, need to be educated to what's happening to the land of Punjab, where we come from. And I think that's why Gurpreet Singh is doing a great job with Saving Punjab, and especially with the drug crisis. I'll ask Gurpreet Singh a question to start with. With the work that Saving Punjab is doing, do you see any relationship with the economical factors post-1984 and the 80s and what is happening on the ground today with the drug crisis?
So I think with the Punjab's drug issue, if we just look at it as let's take a step back and understand, okay, Punjab has a drug problem. Punjab's drug problem, if you look at it as an isolated incident and then see the rest of the states of India, why does Punjab have a drug problem? If I came and gave you guys some drugs right now, would you take them? No, you wouldn't, because your psychoanalysis of it is you don't need them. But if we look at Punjab and think what caused these individuals, which were known as, at one time, Surbira di Qaum, warriors, Shefur de Gabru, even like I was looking at statistics at the moment, Punjab still has the tallest people in the whole of India. But like what happened from them warriors to then now being druggies? So if you look at, in our research, we're doing a little bit of research on just the kind of psychoanalysis of drugs, of how and why a civilization or a community results to drugs. And the first thing that you've mentioned right now is actually the first thing that comes up, which is economy. So Punjab, what position do you think Punjab's economy is at the moment?
From I think it's number one, or is it in the top?
Not at the moment.
What, at the moment?
16th.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
It was number one.
Okay.
So you mentioned 1980, 1984. So in 1981, Punjab was the first in terms of GDP in the whole of India. We were first. By 2001, we dropped to fourth. And from 2001, we dropped, it dropped to 16th. So why did Punjab's economy drop? So I think
Can I just ask a question here?
Yeah.
What about the neighboring states around Punjab?
Yeah, so Gujarat and other places which were like 22nd
Yeah.
around that time are now 4th and 5th. So their economy is boosted. And the reason the economy dropped, there's kind of, this again is an hour's topic in itself. Punjab had something called, it was econicide, I'd call it. So Punjab had industries which were industries with the logar, the metal industries, the sports industries. Punjab had textile industries that all left Punjab. Now the question is, why did they leave Punjab? India, in terms of India set a program called SEZ, Special Economic Zones. And these special economic zones were set up throughout India. And what they did was they gave them tax-free, export, import, duty-free, off their tax and electricity-free startup costs in places outside of Punjab. So if I'm sitting in Anandapur side right now and I think, okay, I want to start up a factory, it's easier for me to go 10 kilometers into Himachal, so I get free electricity, free tax. So these industries from 2000 onwards, in that 10-year period of 2000 2010, roughly 10,000 industries left Punjab. So from then onwards, you could see the decline. And the problem you have with that going forward, Punjab's farmers, the farming that our elders did, they broke their backs. They did the farming. From the Green Revolution, they benefited from it. They became, profitable. They became rich. So the economy, naturally, up until the 80s, was good. What happened after that is the farmer didn't want his child to go into farming. You see Punjab's farmers now, they don't want their kids to be breaking their backs or do the farming. What it is, we want them to get educated and eventually leave Punjab. This is, one of the big aspirations, which I could say was like something that was given to Punjab and said, this is actually, whether that was through movies, through songs, and ways in which it was causing and pushing the youth to leave
There's an idea
Punjab.
forced upon them that,
absolutely.
Hey, farming is not what is something that is looked at as a highly valuable skill.
Yeah.
Let's go outside and do something else.
So when they got educated, naturally the next generation didn't want to break their backs in the fields. They were educated. So what happened after that? Punjab had to bring in an influx of people from other states to do the actual workforce, the
labor.
Yeah, the labor work. So 72% of Punjab's workforce at the moment is from outside of Punjab. That's from Bihar, from Uttar Pradesh, and that's changing the demographics of Punjab. But again, that's a whole topic in itself. So what happened then was these educated individuals, the youth, naturally, they wanted to find jobs in Punjab which didn't exist because the industry had left Punjab. So what they had to do was migrate either outside of Punjab to find these jobs, or they had to migrate outside the country. So the national average of unemployment, Punjab spikes that at 27%. It's huge unemployment. And unemployment kind of relates straight back into the drugs issue of, if you're unemployed, you've got a community disintegration. You've got, people that have low aspirations. They lack, they lack in terms of the drive to want to do something. Mm-hmm. Then naturally you fill that with
I think if you compare the unemployment rate, you said 27%.
Yeah.
Compare that to a country like Canada or America, where the unemployment rate is typically around...
Sorry, it's 21%.
21%. But typically here in the West, in our countries, the unemployment rate is around 5% or 6% during a recession. And then when it's a good time, it'll be around 3-4%, right? So 21% is a huge number.
Yeah.
And my question is just to expand on that a little bit, to add to the economy. These people who are unemployed, is it because there's not jobs available, or is it because they don't want to work, or the work culture is not there for them to work in their own fields? Or is it people who have farms and lands and they're bringing other people from abroad to work in their fields and they're just sitting at home and doing nothing and they're chilling? Like, what type of people are these?
So there's a critical review by a documentation called Interventions for Substance Abuse, Poverty and Substance Abuse. And in that, there's a direct relation with the economy and substance abuse. So the problem is created within a state. And when that problem, it's filled with void. So I'll kind of go on a little bit later on into examples of how this has happened in other places in the world, where, one of the ways a state will use to control its people, one of the ways they will use to distract its people, post-genocidal or trauma. Drugs is a way, especially the opioids, and there's kind of many examples in the world where, post-war or natural disasters, a way to kind of keep people a little bit, let's just say, dull is a way, drugs is a way to kind of control that. Now, we had a discussion not that long ago when we were talking about why Punjab, as in why Punjab would, why would they want to keep Punjab dull? Why would they want Punjab to kind of, to dampen their spirits by influence of drugs? And one of the biggest examples you can see for that is the Kisan Morcha. If you see the Kisan Morcha where it was driven by Punjabis, why? Because they've got a spirit in them which is not found anywhere else in India. That warrior nation, if it stands up and unites, it could take over the world. And people know that. Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Raj, the Sikh of India, the Punjabis, they are the ones that they call them the arm of the nation, the sword of the nation. Why? Because they are the ones that will fight at the front line, which is returned how to Punjabis? Not in a very good way, because, those people that so-called protect the nation are now, suffering that silent genocide in Punjab.
Inherently, we're a warrior nation, right? We have this idea inside of us that Garib di Rakhya Karni, Jarwane di Pakhya Karni, and these are siddhants that our Guru Sahibs gave us. But if you look at Punjab historically and geographically, anytime Hindustan and India was attacked by whether it's Nadir Shah, Genghis Khan, Sikandar Lodi, all these rulers that came through, the first line of defense was always Punjab when it came to attacking Hindustan. And our people were the first line of defense, and they never shied away from that. There's no weakness shown in them.
Absolutely.
And that's what Guru Sahib was captivated in the Surmata and the Khande Bhat, the Amrit that they blessed us with. They gave that Biras to us with Dasam Bani and Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj's Bani, which gives us that Shanti. So it's like, I'll just really quickly, I was looking at the Olympic medal counts for Punjab, for India. Punjab's always number one.
Punjab and Haryana.
Yeah, Haryana no si Punjab hi mande hain. Haryana is not separate, right? Himachal is not separate, it's Punjab.
And Delhi, according to
and
the
Delhi. For us, it's Sadi Dharti hai, hai na? It's Sadi Dharti hai. And that area, that northern India, northern Punjab, that part is where we have always, our people have flourished, right? Takade Palawan, right? Those Dara Singh, right? Varge Vadde Palawan and cricket players and hockey players have always come from that land, and they've always been celebrated. And so this influx of drugs, what it's doing, I feel like, and you can touch on more of this, is that the rebellion or the resistance that we had inside of us, the state is using it to suppress it. To suppress the idea, hey, ki jidi qawm hai uth ke sade ult na khad jave. And that's their biggest fear.
Right, yeah. So, there's a Harvard review on psychiatry, basically analysis. They look at, it's called the self-medication. And it's a self-medication of substance abuse. And you can look it up. It's a document that was released in 1997. And it talks about trauma and how trauma directly relates to substance abuse. So trauma, genocide, post-genocidal kind of symptoms is drug abuse. And there's many examples of such kind of substance abuse. You've got Rwanda, You've got Cambodia, and there's, you can see the similar pattern of, especially even in China, the opoids that were introduced to subdue the civilization, the population, the populations, so that they stay, like I keep saying the word dull, so that they don't rise and uprise. So like, if you look at Punjab's issues, you've got 1947 happening. From 1947, Punjab's again, it's got the short straw. Why? Because Punjab's split down the middle. 60% is given to West Punjab, which is now in Pakistan. Then Punjab has an Indus Water Treaty brought into Punjab, where Punjab's rivers are dammed, Beas, Satluj and Ravi. 75% of the 17.17 million acre feet of Punjab's allocated water is then given to other states. 75%, which I was doing some calculations. If you look at that 17.17 million acre feet, it's around 48 billion litres a day. It's absolutely, and if you look at the rest of India, I want the people listening to this, go away and do research on how much other states are paying for water. For 1 cubic meter of water, some states are paying 10 paise, 15 paise, 100 paise. And if you calculate that and subdue the numbers within what Punjab is giving away in terms of its cubic, 17.17 million acre feet of water, we'd be the richest state in the whole of Asia, maybe even in the world, if we were giving our water away for a price. So we give our water away, and then the Punjab then realizes, we've lost Chandigarh. And remember, Chandigarh is a union territory. So Chandigarh is Haryana's as much as Punjab's. What happens when you're a union territory in India? Under the constitution, when you're a union territory, you're directly under the rule of the Indian government.
The center state.
Yeah, so the center state.
Yeah.
So Chandigarh is the capital of Punjab. So that means Punjab is directly under the rule of the central government by default. They did the exact same in Kashmir when they they eradicated Article 370. So when they did that, they broke Kashmir in half, made Ladakh, and made it a union territory. So that is directly under the control of the central government. So what happened was the Anandpur Matta was written in 1973, which is released. And what does the Anandpur Matta ask for? It asks for Punjab's water rights to be brought back. It asks for language rights. It asks for some autonomous rights for Punjab. They were simple human rights. Every single one of them was a human right.
Can I just, Bhajan, have a question about the dams that you spoke about a little bit earlier? Punjab is a Tarti of 5 rivers, right? And if you just do a quick Google, you can see that the most fertile land in the whole world is Punjab, right?
Yeah.
So we've always been a farm-based, agricultural-based society. When did these dams start getting implemented? When did these canals that we see in Punjab, when did the water start getting, did the British bring this in, or was it after?
If you see the kind of timeline, it was set up before the partition.
Okay.
So the dams weren't set up, but the projects were. So a guy called Guljari Lal Nanda, who was the irrigation minister, the moment partition happens in 47, 48, the building of the dams starts, 1948. So they knew that this is where we're going to draw the Radcliffe line, this is where we're going to partition, and here's where we're going to dam. So the Pakra Dam, the Ponangal Dam, the Harike Dam, all started construction 1948. The water that was leaving Punjab, there was only one canal that was leaving in 1947, and that was a canal that was going from Harike to a place called Bikaner, which is originally where a lot of the Singhs, in the jungles of Bikaner, right? Rajasthan, Bikaner. Yeah. And the Rajasthan, the kings of Rajasthan were giving Punjab return, whether it was patthar, whether it was whatever it was they were returning. I can't remember exactly what the treaty was, or there was a contract. The first thing that happened in 1947 is they eradicated that and said any water leaving Punjab under international riparian law is now going free. So they made that free. So Punjab stopped getting any money for that one canal. And if you look at how many canals are leaving Punjab now, you've got the Indira Gandhi feeder. They actually named it after her, which is the longest irrigation project in the entire subcontinent. Around, I can't remember, 600 kilometers of Punjab's water, where in Jaisalmer it goes and ends. So there's places that were once a desert in Punjab that now have jungles from Punjab's water. In Rajasthan. Sorry, there's a desert in Rajasthan where now there's a jungle from Punjab's water. Whether that's going to Haryana. So Haryana has got a river called Yamuna.
Yeah.
And Yamuna is basically the Y in SYL. So Satluj and Yamuna link canal they wanted to take more water from Satluj river, which goes across just above Malwa where you're from. And that was to take more water away into into Haryana. Now, where does the Dharam Yudh, so straight after Anandpur Mata, where does the Dharam Yudh Morcha start from? It starts from a morcha called
Kapuri da.
Kapuri da Morcha.
Right.
And Kapuri da Morcha was the starting point of where they were starting to build the SYL canal. And you know that same issue comes up every 4 years when it comes to elections. It comes to politicians using that as a pawn. And then one of the people that became enlightened and started understanding the issue was the singer Sidhu Moosewala. He releases that song. He talks about Balwinder Singh Jatana, who these were the saviors of Punjab's water. They were going there and saying, we're not going to let Punjab's water go from Punjab. And they are the ones that kind of try to protect Punjab's water, but they were made out to be villains within India.
Often these Jujaru Singhs that are labeled these terrorists or separatists, they were looking out for the Sikh values and Sikh issues and a Sikh homeland. They also understood the needs of the average Punjabi person.
Absolutely.
Right? They understood that Punjab needs its water, Punjab needs its fasal, Punjab needs to be prosperous. And they understood the state's ideology behind towards the Sikhs and the people of Punjab. They want to make Punjab a Registan, and that's what making all these different dams, making all these canals, and the SYL canal that there's just been a huge back and forth for the last 40 years over it, right? Even longer. I think those things, we got to give them credit. And Bhai Balwinder Singh Jatana, ਉਹਦੀ ਕੁਰਬਾਨੀ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਜੀ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਹੋ ਗਏ because of this, right? And I think credit to Sidhu Moosewala, who brought his name back into the forefront, because over the past 30 years people had forgotten who Balwinder Jatana was.
Absolutely. I mean, those for you that don't know, I think 8 members of his family were shaheed. As young as a couple of months old child.
I think it was his niece that was killed. Right, his grandmother, 80 years old.
His Masi, his mom, all of them.
Sara kar saarta siga.
And the Singhs that went and broke the news to him. I was watching this video that they went and told him like, Parwar Shaheed ho gaya.
Yeah.
And the first thing he said was Waheguru, and he looked up to Maharaj and said, "Thank you, Maharaj."
Yeah.
Like the Singh that was saying this, he was breaking down in tears because he said, "Why would you say thank you to Maharaj?" And he goes, "Mere siro boj le gaya."
Yeah.
That was my only boj that mere parvar da ki hoga. Maharaj took them first.
Yeah.
And by Charanjit Singh Channi, Balwinder Jatana, these guys, man.
So
these guys were educated in universities and schools, so they knew what the issues were.
Yeah.
But inni vaddi qurbani
so the history of Punjab is so dense and so immense that you can see the qurbaniya, how they come in. So what happens after Kapuri da Morcha, Dharam Yudh Morcha starts? Thousands of Singhs fill the jails because they want to do Rasta Roko, Kam Roko, Rail Roko. They're causing agitation in Punjab. Why? Because they're asking the state for haq. And is the state going to say, are they going to, fulfill Punjab's needs? No, they're not. So that then later turns on to Punjab started becoming more autonomous without officially becoming autonomous. And I'll tell you an example why. On the 24th of May, 1984, around 3 weeks before Darbar Sahib's attacked, the Akalis released a documentation called, basically calling all the Kisan unions to the char that comes out not to sell it to the central government. So basically all the RTA, all the mandis, basically we keep hold of our, whatever we produce, the chona that comes out, the rice that comes out, or the wheat that comes out, and we keep it and we sell it to other states. We can sell it. If Bihar needs it, we'll directly sell it to them. And this was announced on the 24th of May. If you look at Bulbul Bura's, kind of his account of when he's called to say, we're going to go attack Darbar Sahib. Obviously, we know the planning was 18 months prior. But why did they choose to execute then? Because they knew if Punjab realizes that it's got the power because the farmers are the ones that feed the nation, it could control what happens in India just because they're the ones that grow the food that India eats. Then they would have power. So they wanted to eradicate the fact that they could feel that they had power. So what they did is they sent the army in. There wasn't, just the fact that they went to 100 of the Gurdwara. They were in the pins where the mandiyan were. Because they wanted to make sure that, the whole Punjab's on lockdown, but the mandiyas are still functioning. And the same I said during the Kisan Morcha. I was on an interview and they asked me, what do you think? And I was like, we're sitting in the streets of Delhi, even though we can't really talk about it now because it was a victory. Well, you can say it as a victory. I've got my own views on that as well.
I do too.
Yeah. Victory is if I come into your house and I rob you, and then you protest for a year, and then I just give you your items back. Is that a victory? No, I don't really think it's a victory.
Those 700 people who died on the streets of Delhi, right? 1 year being separated from your family and parivar.
It still isn't a victory.
It's not a victory.
But if the farmers stayed in Punjab, just grow on their land and say, look, asi roti khani hai, do wale asi khai jani hai. Don't become greedy. Forget about selling to the central government. See how the tables turn then. Because the power is with the people that feed the nation. It's not with those that buy.
The thing is this, right? What I see is a lot of the farmers in Punjab, I think 80% of the farmers have between 2 to 5 acres of land.
Yeah.
They're not
86%.
86%, right? They don't have mass plots like they do in America or abroad. So to convince each and every farmer who's dependent and in debt before they're already in debt before they get all the income from the crops that they're selling, it's very hard to convince. They're dependent.
It's the revolution, though, isn't it? Like look at Deep Sidhu. He how did he influence everyone to get to Delhi? Like he's pivotal in that.
Yeah.
So this is what local heirs are, and this is what Punjab needs. It needs local heir. The problem is, if Punjab government invested as much money into solving the problems than trying to stop the resistance, the problems would be solved. One of the biggest examples is look how many police officers were there to arrest Bhai Amritpal Singh. Look how much of a force they created and the noise they created to
and the
arrest
fear.
person.
They try to put fear into people. That they
Imagine if they'd done the exact same to pick up the big drug pushers, the peddlers, the politicians, the police officers. The 3Ps I normally call them, because they're all in it together. Whether it's famous names like Majitia or the other politicians that in kind of parliament these names have been mentioned as evidence of these guys selling drugs. And I was reading a quote where they talked about if the police arrests, a huge drug kingpin, the MLAs or the MPs just come and get them released.
I mean, I saw that firsthand, right? So we were at Goindval Sahib with Bhai Amritpal Singh, and someone came in the Vaheer. They right in front of Bolli Sahib, the person started selling chitta, drugs, heroin. And the Singhs in the Vaheer located this person, and they brought him to where Bhai Sahib was, and Bhai Sahib started questioning him. Okay, who sent you, what happened? And he told us officials' names, the Thanedar, the SSP. He's like, these are people who watch over us, and you can hand me over to the police, but the thing is, you hand these people over to the police, they're released the next day. They're back on the ground, because each police officer and the peddler and the politician already have a cut. They know that this is how much money, this percentage this person's going to get, this is the percentage this person's going to get. Even when they have a badali, when they have a change in the local thana, they already have it pre-calculated. The person coming in to look over this thana is already going to get this much. It's the systems in place.
Do you think, from your experience, I mean, I've got my own kind of understanding of it, but maybe that you might have something different. My understanding is no matter which political party comes into Punjab, whether that's Congress, Akalis, Aam Aadmi Party, the people of power in the police or the people of power within these MPs, the central government still has clout over what happens, and they're in essence in charge of what happens in Punjab. So it doesn't matter which party comes in, they will still, like if the Punjab political party says, okay, we're going to come and stop corruption, they haven't been able to do so. Why? Because the central government will still allow, because most of the DSP or the ASI offices in Punjab are from outside of Punjab.
Yeah.
So do you think that the central government directly still has a grasp over this corruption or this peddling that's going on in Punjab?
For 100%. That Ghana that Sidhu Moosewala wrote called "The Scapegoat," he says something in there. He says logo hi change hoya, sarkaran hi hai. Right? Whether you have the Panja, the Chadu, the Takadi, right? For each party, the logos change. But the state behind that who's running the operations, nothing changes. The system doesn't change. Someone can come and they can have great ideas that this is what I want to do. When Bhagwant Mann first came, people were on board. Aam Aadmi Party, we need a third party in place, right? And very, very soon after, we realized this guy is no different than anyone else. He might even be worse. Because the deep state is just using these people as a front to maintain the status quo and run their operations. And a lot of these political parties, their vote bank is created by the money that's earned from the drugs that they're selling. So they use the money from the drugs
or the
sharab, right? And they use that to fund their elections.
Yeah.
And that's how they fund. That's how the money comes in. And you mentioned Bikramjit Majitia earlier, right? Who was a sitting cabinet minister at that time in Punjab Sarkar, and he had 700 crore on his head, saying this person peddled this much. He's involved in our drug ring.
There's a book called The Enemies Within, and I was reading, it's specifically of Punjab. The authors are questionable, but some of the statistics written in there, they mentioned the expenses on drugs daily in Punjab. This is daily. Guess how much do you think it'd be? Have a guess.
I don't know.
The daily expense of drugs in Punjab.
25. Daily?
Yeah.
Damn. That's a tough one.
20 crore.
20 crore.
Yeah.
Crore.
So 2 million UK pounds. 2 million pounds spent on drugs daily in Punjab. Just imagine the scale of the issue. Now, talking about the scale of the issue. So I was doing looking at the statistics. So Punjab's population from the last census in 2011 was 27 million point four, around that. And the 2023
population of the entire population.
The entire Punjab population. Of that 75, around 70-60% is sick. With that figure itself is questionable because we don't have the data for the most current census, because a lot of migration has happened. We don't know exactly how much of the sick population is still in Punjab. The current population is around 30.4 million in Punjab. Out of the 30 million, the AIMS report, so AIMS Delhi report, the All India Institution for Medical Sciences, so that's an official research institution of the Indian government. They released a report saying this is last year, 76% of Punjab's youth is addicted to drugs. So let's break that down. The calculations, if there's any mathematicians out there, by Mandeep Singh's watching, if you look at 30 million, and this is kind of roughly from the top of our heads, if you look at the 30 million, if 18 to 35-year-olds roughly found around about 26% of the population. So 26% of the 30 million is around 8 million, if rough calculation between 7 and 8 million. So from that 8 million, 75% of that is addicted to drugs, which comes to around 6 million. Let's rough ball it, 6 million. So 6 million individuals. The official documentation shows 3 million. So that's from the post-institution graduate medical sciences, the PMIGR, the Chandigarh Research Institution in India. They said around 3 million. That was the 2022 figures. But if you look at the calculations of what the AIM said, 76% of the 18 to 35-year-olds are addicted to drugs, which is, a bracket of 8 million people, which then, 75% would be around 6 million. 6 million people, Punjab's youth addicted to drugs. And how many rehabilitation centers are there? How many programs are there for rehabilitation? My calculation is around 328 were private rehabilitation centers, 128 were rehabilitation centers which were run by the government. And roughly, if you calculate all of them, there's about 750 rehabilitation centers on official documentation. If you calculate 6 million per 750, I can't remember exactly what the figure would be, but it'd be like somewhere around, per each rehabilitation that they're looking after around 6,000 people or so.
I think there's Punjab which 12,000 pind ne.
Yeah,
right?
12,700.
12,700 pinds. Like at that rate, 6 million, and each pind needs a de-addiction center, right?
It does. You need 12,000 de-addiction centers on a small scale. You've only got around 1,000 at most. That means each de-addiction center has around 6,000 people.
And what's the success rate when someone goes to these?
It's not very high. It's because you need a lot of other things in place. It's not just rehabilitation centers. They try to decriminalize drugs, and parts of it I do agree with, because the drug issue it's a medical issue. It's, it kind of, there needs to be an understanding of why, in terms of this word psychoanalysis, of understanding why is someone going towards drugs, and kind of catching the root cause and going backwards. But they don't want to do that. They're just doing these, from my understanding, these de-addiction centers are just to show that we're trying to do something. Do they really want to tackle the problem? Well, if you want to tackle the problem, stop the drugs from coming in. Look at the statistics of drugs found. So remember, Punjab is just a 1.53 geographical area, 50,362 square kilometers, a tiny, tiny 1.5% of India's huge map. But 50% of the drugs found from the whole of India were from Punjab from 2011, 2014. That statistic would ring alarm bells in any other country, thinking, why is this state so prevalent on drugs? We should have some kind of policies put in place. Some kind of intervention needs to be, immediate. That's 2011, 2014. We're still in the same situation now.
Do you have any statistics on the death rates and how many of the 6 million people?
So there's a statistic that I was reading. It's by the National Crime Record Bureau report. It's from 2007 to 2017. They said that from the whole of India, so what's Punjab's population size compared to the rest of India? It's about 1.92%. We're a small percentage of India's population. From 2007 to 2017, there was 25,000 people that committed suicide because they couldn't get their fix on drugs. So this is just a small part of the whole problem. 25,000 people in the whole of India that committed suicide because they couldn't get their fix of drugs in time. What percentage of that do you think was from Punjab?
50%?
74%.
Wow.
And this is the National Crime Record Bureau report, which is official documentation by the Indian government that has said from 2007 to 2017, out of the 25,000 people that committed suicide because they couldn't get their fix in time, 74% of them were from Punjab. That should have been alarm bells in 2017. Like, we need a crisis. We need to go in and stop this from happening. But there's been no intervention of such sort. Absolutely no intervention of such sort. So you can see in terms of the death rates, but look at the people in prison. This is a 2022 report, again, by the National Crime Record Bureau, NCRB, and the NDPD Acts report. These two reports showed that the population of Punjabis in India is 2%, roughly. Yeah, it might be 2.1 now, changing. From that 2% population, what percentage do you think they contribute to those people in jail for drugs? From a 2% population, have a guess.
80%.
44.5%. Imagine, from a 2% population, those people in jail for drugs are from Punjab. 44.5%. That's last year's report.
And Gurkeerat Singh, your time, just to link to that topic, of the de-addiction centres, so many being in Punjab, actually being there, in Punjab, your own experiences, are they effective? And what was the difference with Bhai Amritpal Singh Ji setting up a de-addiction centre, and was that effective as well?
So I was able to see the drug issue on the ground very closely. When I got there and I started speaking with different organizations like the Shiromani Committee or Dal Nahang Singh Jathebandi or Intiksala, what blew me away the most was that this drug issue is not just inside the bins or the shahs. This is not just a demographic of poor people or people who are disenfranchised. This drug issue links all the way to the top with the highest ranking police officers, their kids, the people who have nice changiyan jameena, change ghar, they're doing drugs. Obviously, the people who are struggling to make a living and they're homeless, they're doing drugs. To the point now, the people and the individuals living in the taksas, in the dere, in the Nahang Singh Jathebandiyan, drugs have crept into them as well. And that's what blew me away. That's what shocked me. Okay, this topic of drugs in our Sikh institutions is taboo. No one touches on this. But Sevadars living at Harmandir Sahib who are employed by the SGPC, drugs have crept into them.
So just a question here, I've little experience from actual first-hand experience in Punjab, and this is why I think it's really good where I could actually hear the first-hand experience of are the statistics actually what the ground reality is? So statistics by the Punjab health minister, who claimed that alcohol isn't an intoxicant. So much research would prove otherwise, that alcohol is an intoxicant. But is Feme like a recreational, a normalized drug in Punjab?
I remember I was there with Bhai Singh, and we're sitting at the Goindval Sahib, and one individual who was getting off drugs, I started interviewing him, I started making a video of him, and I got familiar with him. So he knew me, I knew him, because he was one of the original people to come and try to get off drugs, was Bhai Singh. And he, after third or fourth day later, he comes and sits beside me. He opens up his pocket and it's like, PM Shakani? Me and my chola and my bana. He's in his chola and a bana at that point.
Wow.
He's offering me Feme.
What was it like?
I didn't try it. I got upset at him, right? I was like, give me everything you have right now. Right? But multiple times.
So Feme is an opioid, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's a direct link. There's a report by Ames again that talked about from 2000 to 2015, in them 15 years, the people that were on opioids, 90% of them went onto heroin.
So these are people who are trying to get off heroin, and for them, okay, if we're not doing heroin, it's better to just do Feme, right? Yeah. And I was offered them multiple times. People have these packages, and they'll be black and whatever. I saw it roaming around there, and I was surprised that this is not considered. It's like a chai cup in the morning for them. They pop it in and then they go, right? And people who are working in their farms and their fields all doing Feme. And it's so easily available. Feme's not cheap. Feme ek shahi nasha mannaya, that those people who have money and changa paisa, they can do Feme.
Still, from my statistics, I don't know if this is correct, but Guru Nanak Dev Ji University report stated that the heroin is coming from this Golden Crescent, which is the corridor that's coming from Afghanistan. Okay. The Afghanistan drug ring, which was set up by the CIA, unofficial documentation, which is a book that was released in 2003, which is called Heroin Politics. They state that the drugs rings that were set up were for the CIA for Afghanis to fund the war against the Soviets. So they were selling opioids. And the funny statistic that comes from that is from in 2001 when the American government goes into Afghanistan, when they declare this war, I think it was 185 tons that Afghanistan was producing, and now it's 80% of the world's heroin is produced in Afghanistan. Yeah. So they obviously went in there to farm more opium and opioids. But coming back to what we were trying to say is that Golden Crescent that's coming into Punjab, in Afghanistan, for 1 kg of opium, this is by the Guru Nanak Dev University report, 1 kg in in Afghanistan is 1 lakh for 1 kg. When it goes into Pakistan, it's 5 lakh. When it goes into Punjab, it's worth 1 crore. And when it goes into the rest of India, it's worth 5 crore. So you can see Punjab, it's 5 times cheaper to get drugs than anywhere else in India.
So when I talk to these people who are doing drugs, and I ask them, okay, how much of an income do you need to fund your drug addiction? And they would say, je sade ko 15 to 20,000 rupiah mahine da hega, hana sada aj mein mahina lang janda. That's what they're telling me. And now, who earns 15 to 20,000 rupees doing labor in Punjab? No one does. That's why the crimes have increased. And people who have land. I remember this one individual. His name is Amandeep Singh, and he stayed with Bhai Singh. And he told me that he had 14 acres of land, and he was the only son. And ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੋਲ 14 ਕਿੱਲੇ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਆ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਵਿੱਚ, they don't have to work a day in their life. They're set.
Comfortable.
They're comfortable, right? And ਉਹਦੀ ਗੱਡੀ ਵੀ ਸੀਗੀ. His father passed away. ਸਾਰੀ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਂ ਆ ਗਈ, ਠੇਕੇ ਤੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ. He was chilling. He's 17 years old. And only son. And he said that in 4 years, from 17 to 21, right, in 4 years, I sold 3 acres of land. Worth 90 lakh rupiah. 90 lakh.
That's about 90,000 pounds.
Yeah, 30 lakh da logical, hai na? And I don't know what the conversion is, I think. Yeah. And what's 90 lakh in pounds? Is that
90,000.
90,000. 89, 90.
Nearly 100,000 pounds.
Almost 100,000 pounds worth of chitta in 4 years.
That's absolutely mental.
And he's 17 to 21 in that time period, Right? And then when he came and we saw him and Bhai Sahib helped him out when he started getting off the drugs. It's also about the company. You asked me about the de-addictions earlier. Okay? Are these de-addiction centers successful? A lot of the people who are coming to Bhai Amritpal Singh, they previously tried to get off drugs and they were in de-addiction centers for 6 months, 7 months. But the cost of being in a de-addiction center is very expensive.
70% of the actually 80% of the addiction centers in Punjab are private.
Yeah.
So they're going to cost a lot more.
And it's even more difficult for like a female, a bibi. And I'll tell you one story of a bibi who I spoke to. She said to me, her story was, okay, I got addicted to drugs. She's from Taran area. She said, I got addicted to drugs.
Is this the one that had a child that was born addicted to drugs as well?
I believe so. Yeah.
I've heard this story.
Yeah. So she told me, she had a child addicted to drugs. Pretty much what happened is her husband passed away.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Her husband passed away, and she got kicked out of her house. Her in-laws, they kicked her out, and she had to go find a way to make sure she could have a roof over her head, and she could take care of her child. And she went to some people. She met some other ladies in Taran Sahib. And she decided to start living with them. And she said, I need 2 rotis in the morning, 2 rotis sham nu, 2 rotis swer nu, and I'll clean your house for you guys. Let me stay in your house. They said, fine, right? But there'll be some extra expenses that you have to pay as well.
She started being prostitute.
Yeah. And she said the first day I got there, men started visiting me. First day was 5, then 10, then 20. And that's how she was putting a roof over her head. And she was trying to take care of her child and put her, and her own drug addiction, right? Now that individual, that bibi, that man, was going to a de-addiction center trying to get help. But in the de-addiction center, this is a circle of people, because you're meeting other people who are addicted.
That's the best place to sell drugs, man.
Yeah, it is. And I'll be honest with you, people try to come sell drugs in
the Vaheer.
In the Vaheer, right? In the Vaheer, and there's one individual, I'll tell you, I haven't shared this story yet.
Just before you go on, you know the video of the bibi from Taran, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's really worth it. If anyone wants to watch that, go on, type in de-addiction, Punjab, and it was about her child that was born, this baby infant that was addicted to drugs also because the mother was taking drugs.
Yeah. I haven't shared the story yet because I just thought it was something that shouldn't be public, but I'll share it today. So by Amritpal Singh, when we finished the Khalsa Vaheer, we came back to the addiction center. And obviously there's people who come there with different objectives. And a mata came to Bhai Amritpal Singh and said, Mera putt nashe te hai. And naale mere ghar ch ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੱਕਦਾ ਹਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਚੁੱਲ੍ਹੇ 'ਚ ਘਾਹ ਉੱਗ ਗਿਆ.
Right.
And we've totally been abandoned. We have nothing. We're homeless. Can I stay here as well as when my son will be getting off drugs? I'll have a place to stay. And there's an area ਕੰਧ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਸੀਗੀ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੀ ਹਨਾ if anyone was in dire need. And she came there with her son. And they had CCTV cameras up everywhere. And these people are the best liars in the world. Like, people lie in Punjab, and especially addicts, they'll spin you in circles before they admit to anything. And the mother and the son came into the addiction center and tried to sell drugs to the people who are trying to get off drugs there. And we caught them on CCTV cameras. And we had a huge meeting. They closed the doors and they just called them out in front of everyone.
Did they get prashad?
No, they didn't. I'm not going to say. Thoda bahut prashad vartaya si.
Also, did they give the reason for why? Did someone send them?
No. They on the karobar.
It's doggy dog, isn't it? It's just
a karobar, right? And Bhai said, like, I used to record Bhai Sahib and I have the whole conversation on camera of how he's telling these people, hey, like, thoda hi kam hai. So
in terms of like your first-hand experience in Punjab, our researchers are currently looking at ways that we can tackle this issue. One model being Bhai Amritpal Singh's model, and there's other ways. Like there's the drug that we suggested many years ago by the Scottish government, Naxalon, something along them lines.
What drug do they give right now in India? What pill do they give to addicts? I'm
not entirely sure, but there is a few. There is a few drugs.
Yeah.
But there was one that's patented by the Scottish government that Punjab didn't have. and it's got like a 90% success rate with opioids. So we were speaking about how we can get that over to Punjab. And I think I read an article just the other day that there's been some success with that. So that is a drug that you will possibly see rolled out in Punjab, by kind of some internal pressures, external pressures that's been pushed towards Punjab. So that's like one way that, fighting the drug battle, the war on drugs. But in terms of like what Bhai Amritpal Singh was doing, and what other ways do you think, we're already working on some potential solutions, but I'd like to hear what you think as your first-hand experience in Punjab. What would be a good way to start? Could it start from a pind level, a local level? Could it be something that we bring in within our project that we're coming in with a My Pind project, that we could start, eradicating the pins and making pins clean of drugs? But for that, you need to support the villagers. You need to kind of have kind of feet on the ground to do that and support that. What do you think? What's your suggestion?
So my suggestion would be go study those pins that don't have drugs in them, because there are certain pins, and one pin we went to was Gurkeerat pind. They're very hard to find, but there's one pind in Gurkeerat pind. When we went there, all the people at the pind were saying "Sade pind koi nasha nahi," and that's a hard thing to claim. And when we walked around, we talked to the youngsters, and they were very, very adamant. It's "Sade pind koi nasha nahi." And they had sports academies. They had people on the ground who were teaching them how to do Gurbani Santhya. Unhonu koi sangat mil rahi sigi. So my suggestion would be these villages need to be studied. Okay. And what the Panchayat and the Sarpanch are doing, and those, that pind is right by Jalandhar, Gurkeerat pind. They have a lot of support from the West, and the villagers that are living, the people who have migrated to the West, they come back and they support different projects that help their villagers to make sure that there's programs in place that our youth can stay connected. It also depends on the people, the MLAs and the MPs of that area, and what their mindset is. And obviously not all of them are corrupt. There is a corrupt system in place, but there's some honest people who want to make things right. And for my first-hand experiences, these people have been disenfranchised, disowned, and they've lost all respect. When you start giving respect, responsibility, and you make them feel like their life has value, then the switch in their mind, again, I have a better purpose in my life than just doing these drugs, is where the change comes. And that's what Bhai Amritpal Singh was doing. Majority of the people who he brought close into his circle, obviously there's hundreds of people there, and there's people I'm still in touch with who got off the drugs then, and they relapsed when that support system was broken down. But there's Singhs who, I'll be honest with you, those Singhs who are in Amritsar jail today that were previously doing drugs, they're in a really good place because they're in jail with 27 other Singhs. Yeah. Sangat is huge, and they haven't been relapsing. They're coming there, they're being washed over and making sure everything is correct.
Just remember the statistic from last year's NCRB report. Talks about 40% of the current inmates in all of Punjab's jails are addicted to some kind of drugs. So even the jails are not safe. I mean, obviously they've got Sangat that they can keep each other in check. Yeah. But there's jails that are having access to drugs while people are sitting inside jail.
I think one thing that's not talked about outside of Punjab is the huge influx of students that are coming. Yeah. And the migrants that are coming from Punjab and their addictions to drugs.
Second highest in the entire country for in-migration of foreign students.
Yeah, so we have this huge, I was in South Hall this morning and I saw the student population is huge that's coming from Punjab. In Surrey, it's the same thing. I think.
Are you talking about the out-migration?
The out-migration.
Right, so the out-migration for Punjab is the highest, tenfold the national average. Yeah. So per 10,000, 132 people leave in Punjab. Yeah. No, leave in India. So per 10,000, the national average is 132 people per 10,000 are leaving. Punjab's national average is 1,058 per 10,000. So it's pretty much tenfold the national average. But because there's a void of students leaving, that void is being filled by foreign students going into Punjab.
Yeah. So that's one thing. But what I'm talking about here is, you have the tenfold of students that are coming abroad. They're bringing that drug issue with them abroad. It's not staying there.
Okay.
And that's a huge issue that's happening. And with the drug issue, the prostitution is happening. So ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ to pay their rent, to feed their addictions, they're being prostituted. This is ਸਾਡੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ. ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਸਮਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਭੇਜਦੇ ਸੀ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ
Yeah.
ਹਨਾ you have to go with someone and now they're being sent abroad overseas into a different country and those issues that they were dealing with and struggling with in Punjab is something that's happening here. So I feel like there is a connection and I feel one thing I feel like is we born abroad. I'm not sure, are you born abroad?
I was born in the UK.
You're born in the UK. I'm born in Canada. For us, there might be a big disconnect with our own pind. We might not know people there. We might not have the assets and the connections and the network to be in touch with the right people, the good people. But the students that are coming from Punjab, if like a Saving Punjab from out of state, like, get those people on board. They have network. You'll be surprised the networks they have, the people they're connected to. You'll find good people that'll help facilitate and charge these type of projects on the ground.
This is part of the migrant.
Hanji.
It's a part of that.
Hanji.
So, like, one of the things that you're talking about the girls leaving, some kind of just reference points to that. Go have a look at the article by the Vice talking about Punjabi girls in Cyprus. The Punjabi girls in the UAE are 70 girls that were sent back from Oman. Look at the girl that committed suicide in Smethwick.
Yeah.
All them reference points are to that. And there's very little research, but have a look at what's going on in Mexico. Especially the Punjabi students that are now sitting in Mexico trying to get across the border and the kind of state that they're in. It's really important. Like someone said to me, like, how do we keep the influx of the people that are leaving? How do we keep them in Punjab? And whenever you ring someone in Punjab and say, "Tusi utthe ro na aao bahar," they say, "Aap bahar chale gaye." Like, who are you to say to us don't come out?
Yeah.
So I think actions speak louder than words. And one of the kind of phases of the MyPin project, which is going to be later on, is to repopulate Punjab. So when we start sending people back that want to go back, then the people sitting in Punjab might realize and think, okay, if these guys are coming back, maybe we should stay.
Amritpal Singh used to say that ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਉਹ ਬੰਦੇ 10-5 ਪੱਥਰ ਚੱਟ ਕੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਆ ਗਏ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਿਵਾਜ ਬਣਿਆ ਸਾ ਰਿਵਾਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਲੋਕ ਰਿਵਾਜਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਛੇਤੀ ਭੱਜ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਆ we see a trend and we chase it. It's a trend.
We need to make the trend popular that we go back.
Yeah, that needs to be flipped.
Let's nominate Pasukdeep Singh to go back first.
If I'm allowed in, chilling with you guys too much.
I mean, the thing is, these conversations are so important because we have to be blunt.
Yeah.
It's our goal, it's our Jummawari, and throughout our history, those people who are from their late teens or early 30s, they're the ones who've led these charges and changes and these morche. And that's on us, all our generation now. Hey, Sadi Koma, we have to be problem solvers. How can we solve these issues? And the drug issue, it's like when I went to Punjab, and the thing is, when I met my own relatives that were doing drugs, I would go into someone's house and my first question to their son or daughter was, "Ke nashe ta nahi karte?" And it wasn't to put them down, and it wasn't to like say, "Hey, I'm better than you" or anything. Unna dard sanja karna, dukh sanja karna. And many relatives I went to, their son or their children were married, but they're back sitting at home, divorced now or separated, because their marriages are breaking down because of the drugs, and they feel helpless. They feel helpless. And I had what I did is I had my drone with me, and I took my drone up into the sky in my pind, and the people that I was with, they started pointing out at all the houses. Ki aa ghar cho vi nasha milda, aa ghar cho vi nasha milda, aa ghar cho vi nasha milda. I would go to another Singh's house in another pind. It's normal when you go to someone's house, they have a koti, you go to the kotha, right to the top. We start looking at all the houses, pointing out, oh karch vichita, oh karch vichita. You'd be driving by a pind, and then those pinds that are famous for drugs, they'd be called out, aa pind bahut jyada nasha, bahut mashhoor hai pind nashe karke. We went to Goindval Sahib, and at Goindval Sahib, there's a colony on the back skirts right behind Bolli Sahib. And we were told that every single house in there is affected by drugs. Jithe Guru Amardas Sahib Maharaj ji 22 saal rahe hai. And it's right, but Beas River is right there, right on the bank of Beas River. There's like a huge slope that goes, and there's a bunch of houses that go up, and you could walk. By Amritpal Singh made it like a mission to on purpose drive through that colony, and you you could feel the black cloud that was over the top of these people. That age, they're like, you can go to any house and you'll find women, men, grandmas selling drugs. 80 ਸਾਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਮਾਤਾਵਾਂ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਵੇਚਦੀਆਂ, and they've been destroyed.
Your statistic about marriage grievances, because of the drugs. One of the studies talked about how a partner that was addicted to drugs, then because he wanted to continue the drugs, he got his wife addicted to drugs. So like a lot of them is, I think it's passive addiction. They are put onto drugs, and those people that, stay on that addiction route, then, the kids. So there was a statistic that talked about 10 to 12-year-olds, a huge spike in Punjab, 10 to 12-year-olds, injecting heroin. Nowhere else in the country. Alcoholism, one of the highest in Punjab. The sharab they take, I think there's around 13,000 sharab they take, 13,600. There's only 12,000 primary schools.
What's this?
Yeah. As in, the understanding of how easy it is to walk into a parent and have a school and a taker. It's unbelievable. And
and many of the take care right beside the schools.
Absolutely.
They're not like located on the outskirts.
It's so and the thing that comes from that is Punjab, again, 1.9% population, is the second highest when it comes to alcohol poisoning in the entire country.
Bhai Amritpal Singh, he had one mission and it was really successful. Any pind we would go to, wherever the Vaheer would go, he would speak to the Panchayat. Panchayat Sarpanch ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, and he would say ਕਿ in your village, anyone who sells tobacco, right, tell them that ਜਿੰਨਾ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦਾ income from the tobacco that they're selling, we will provide that income for them. Don't sell tobacco in the print.
Oh, okay.
I have a list and I have pictures of 50 different Panchayats in Punjab who said ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਅੱਜ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੰਬਾਕੂ ਨਹੀਂ ਵਿਕੂਗਾ. And Bhai Sahib was sending like money to each of these parents, to these shops, saying don't sell tobacco, we'll do it. It's like the most softest way to make sure tobacco isn't being sold, because tobacco isn't something that our Punjabi people have ever done.
I think we're one of the lowest states that consume tobacco.
Yeah, tobacco is a
good place to start.
Yeah, it's a huge taboo in Punjab, right? Tobacco is a taboo. ਸਾਡੇ ਪੰਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ Guru ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਵਿੱਚ tobacco is really looked down upon. And this started happening when the Bihars came in, because Bihars ਸਾਰੇ ਤੰਬਾਕੂ ਪੀਂਦੇ ਆ. So those were like, you talked about how the passive drug addiction, where the husband would be doing it and the wife would continue on to it. I remember this one brother who came there and he was really upset to Bhai Amritpal Singh. He came in the Vaheer and he said, Bhai Sahib ji, I did drugs, I did heroin. And often these guys, they would show us the marks on their finger. And I never knew that you couldn't inject into your knuckle. Yeah. I never knew that. I thought it was always here, right? Yeah. But a lot of them are injecting into the knuckle. And he was like, my parents got me married, thinking कि मैं सुधर जाऊंगा, मेरा ब्याह हो जाऊगा. And he said that when I got married, my wife found my drugs. And she realized I did drugs as well, but his in-laws didn't know. But when you live with someone, pata lag janda ki kuch khanda pinda na. And she started doing the drugs. With her, my sister started doing the drugs. Both of them overdosed and died on my drugs. And last month I did my wife's sanskar, and last week I did my sister's sanskar.
That's mental.
These stories like just broke me down. And the thing is, obviously, like, we go to Punjab and we think, okay, I have more money than these people. Like, I'm well off. I'm abroad. I'm only a visitor here. I'm only a guest here. But when I was in the tents with these guys and I was listening to their stories and their struggles and everything, then you realize, hey, these are humans. On top of that, they're Punjabis. And then what hits you is you could have easily been in their shoes if for some reason you didn't get this lottery to be born abroad. If your parents didn't go abroad. Then when I started speaking to them from that level and being in touch with them emotionally and trying to help them, they just need to feel important.
They need hope.
And Amritpal Singh was that hope. He brought hope. He brought hope for them. And they would always say, कि भाई साहब जी, मेरा नशा छुड़ा दो. एक बारी मेरा नशा छुड़ा दो, मैं सिक्खी सूरत जाके कौम ਲਈ ਪੰਥ ਲਈ ਧਰਮ ਲਈ ਆਪਣਾ ਸਿਰ ਦੇ ਦੂੰਗਾ. And that was every single day. They would cry. Some people would come and grab Bhai Sahib, like Bhai Sahib would be walking, they would come and hug Bhai Sahib and just be in tears. And then maybe we'll put some B-roll, because I got some B-roll of this. We'll throw it in the video. They'll just be speaking and crying and saying, "Bhai sab nu apne kol rakh lo, mera hor kuch nahi bache, main sab kuch nashe tabah kar deta." And these are people with darding and paggan on their heads. There's one person who came, ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡੇ ਜੱਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਹੈਗਾ, right? But there's some castes in Punjab that they're not addicted to drugs, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ like ਲੋਹਾਰੀ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਹਾ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, typically they might be doing like Feme, but they're not doing ਚਿੱਟਾ, because ਚਿੱਟਾ just ਬੰਦਾ Feme ਨਾਲ ਬੰਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦਾ, other people you're just out, right? ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦਾ ਆਇਆ and he's a ਲੋਹਾਰ, and ਉਹ ਕਿਰਪਾਨਾਂ ਬਣਾਉਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ. And I remember sitting there in the tent with them, and Basant Singh was like to him, ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੋਕ ਦੇ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰਾਣੇ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ? And he's like, I'm 34, I have a wife, and my wife has left me because of my drug addiction. And ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਰਾ 1200-1300 ਰੁਪਇਆ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦਾ ਦਿਨ ਦਾ ਬੰਦਾ, 1200-1300 ਦਿਨ ਦਾ ਬੰਦਾ, he's making good money, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਤੇ ਲਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ. Like anything I earn, nothing goes back to the family, nothing goes to the kids, nothing goes to the wife. And to give him hope and give him some value, what they did is they told him, bring your whole shop here, right, and start making shastas and kirpans for the Singhs. And like, just to get more in depth, anyone who would come, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ checking ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ. They're everything, like what they're bringing, making sure they'll take their phones away, and they'll say, just ਵਿਆਹ ਹੋਇਆ, anyone who's married at 7 p.m. you can come and we'll call your wife and you can speak to your wife. That's fine. But we're not giving you your phone, because when they have their phone, they can connect and speak with people they're not supposed to be in touch with, right? You want to break them away from that bad sangat. Then all their clothes, all their shoes, all their bags, everything would be searched to make sure they have no nashe. And some of these guys would be hiding nashe inside of their shoelace. Like, do you know the white spot like on your shoelace? There's the thread, and then it's like the lace. There's a lace, and then at the end there's a little white area, plastic white area, to make sure the lace isn't open. Ode vich around nasha leke, trying to make sure like they can sneak some in. And I was like, these people are so creative in what they're doing, right?
Naughty students in schools and drug addicts are the most creative people when it comes to trying to get away with stuff.
Like even in your sleeve like this, they'd be wearing a koti. Inside the sleeve right here, they would open the thread and ulish nasha. You had to go through every single little thing. And
you needed to get a sniffer dog. Just
never not.
I think one of the things that, like, if someone's listening to this, and one thing a message that I want to get out there, if you know, and I'll say in Punjabi, and ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਜਾਣਦਾ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਵੇਚਦਾ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਮਝੋ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੀਜ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਕਿ ਬੀਜੇ ਬਿੱਖ ਮੰਗੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ. ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੰਮਾ ਪਲਿਆ ਆ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਉੱਥੇ, ਬ੍ਰੈਡਫੋਰਡ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ UK 'ਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ. ਅਤੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਇਹ ਆਪ ਹੱਡ ਬੀਤੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ. ਮੈਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਛੋਟਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਆਸ-ਪਾਸ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਵੇਚਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ. ਅਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਅਤੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਉਂਗਲ ਇੱਥੇ ਮਿਸਿੰਗ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ. ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਹਰਾਮ ਕਾ ਪੈਸਾ ਹੈ, ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਸੀਗਾ, ਹਰਾਮ ਕਾ ਪੈਸਾ. ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬ੍ਰੈਡਫੋਰਡ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ ਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸੁਪਰ ਕਾਰਜ਼ ਉੱਥੇ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਵਿਕਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ. ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਵੇਚਿਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਅਤੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਰੁਲ ਗਏ. ਕਿਉਂ? ਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਵੇਚਦੇ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਘਰ ਪੈਸੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਜਾਊਂ, ਘਰ ਕੋਠੀ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਬਣ ਜੂ, ਗੱਡੀ ਵੀ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਲੈ ਜੂ, ਸਾਰਾ ਹੱਥਾਂ 'ਚ ਰੇਤਾ ਆ, ਨਿਕਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ. ਜਿੰਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਮਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਉਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗਵਾਓਗੇ, ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀਆਂ ਤਰ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀਆਂ ਰੋਲ ਦੂੰਗੇ. ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੇ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਵੀ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਵੇਚ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਜਾਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਕੁਛ ਖੱਟ ਲੈਣਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਓ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਅਗਲੀ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀਆਂ ਤੱਕ ਤਰਫ ਹੋ ਗਈਆਂ. ਅਤੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਆ, ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਰੁਕ ਜਾਓ, ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਰੁਕ ਜਾਓ, ਅਤੇ ਰੁਕ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ. ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਵੇਚਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਦੂਜਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਬਾਦ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ. ਮੇਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਯਾਦ ਕਰ ਲਿਓ ਇਹ. It's really important, if you know anyone that's selling drugs or doing drugs in Punjab, especially the drug sellers, your future is bleak. You are destroying your own future generations. You think that you're going to build beautiful big houses and buy nice cars from selling drugs and profiting of it. Well, let me tell you one thing. You're planting poison. And that poison you're bringing into your house is only going to create poison amongst your children.
100% true. And that's not only in India or Punjab, that's abroad anywhere.
That's everywhere, yeah.
ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੱਜ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਵੇਚਦੇ ਆ, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ 'ਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਗੈਂਗਸਟਰਸ ਆ, ਇਹ ਘਰ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਆ। ਉੱਜੜ ਕੇ ਘਰ, ਮਾਵਾਂ ਦੇ 2 ਪੁੱਤ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਗੋਲੀ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਮਰ ਗਏ, ਨਸ਼ਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਮਰ ਗਏ। It comes back to you very quickly. Karma hits you in the face very quickly. Right? ਤੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਘਰ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਵੇਚਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਜ਼ਮੀਰਾਂ ਮਰੀਆਂ ਵੀਆਂ।
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ।
ਤੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਚੰਗੇ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੇ, ਉਹ ਘਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਘਰਾਓ ਕਰਨ, go to these houses and expose them.
ਸਫਾਈ ਕਰੋ ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਕੂੜਾ ਹੋਏ, ਬੰਦਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੂੜੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਂਭਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਫਾਈ ਕਰਕੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢ ਦਿੰਦਾ। ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਨੂੰ ਕੂੜਾ ਅੱਜ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੁ ਵਧੂਗਾ ਤੇ ਵੱਧ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਚੱਲਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਜਰ ਕੋਡ, ਇੱਕ ਕੂੜਾ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਘਰੋਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਕੱਢਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ। ਐਂਡ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਨੇ, ਪਿੰਡ ਇਟਸੈਲਫ ਇਜ਼ ਲਾਈਕ ਇਟਸ ਓਨ ਰਾਜਧਾਨੀ। ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਿੰਡ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਪੰਚਾਇਤ ਦਾ, ਉਹ is considered a law. It is,
yeah, right?
Panji Parmeshwar is an old rule, not just a Sikhi thing. Yeah.
ਤੇ ਉਹ is considered a law. ਤੇ ਜੇ ਇੱਕ ਪਿੰਡ ਹੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਤੋਂ, and that was my objective when I went to Punjab, ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਆ, ਮੇਰੇ ਗਵਾਰ 'ਚ, ਮੇਰੇ ਗਲੀ 'ਚ ਮੇਰੇ ਜਾਣ ਪਛਾਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਛੋਟਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਿਆਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਖੇਡਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅੱਖ 'ਚ ਅੱਖ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਕਿ ਬਈ ਨਸ਼ੇ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ। It's difficult to get these kids into Gurdwara Sahibs. ਸਵੇਰੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪਿੰਡ 2 ਟਾਈਮ ਕਥਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਸਵੇਰੇ ਸ਼ਾਮ, they don't come. But when I'm walking around and they're standing in the alleys and they're youngsters, there's no different than you and me. When you start talking to them, right, they ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਰੋਂਦੇ ਆ। They know when you look at them in the eyes, and ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਦਸਤਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮੂੰਹ ਤੇ ਦਾੜਾ ਨਹੀਂ, only thing that they're addicted to is porn or drugs. That's all it is. ਅਤੇ ਕੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰੋ।
This is one of the things we're going to try to do with the My Pind project, is connect the diaspora to their pinds, and we start these revolutions in our villages where we start thinking, okay, is your pind nasha mukt? Is your pind education great? So I won't go through all the details of the My Pind project, but stay tuned. In 2024 it's going to be launching, and when we connect the diaspora to their pinds, to make these model pinds, to make our pinds great again, hopefully from their revolution start. You never know how far it might spread. I
think one other trend that we need to start making is, okay, so we are not going to go to Punjab and establish ਕੋਠੀਆਂ there. ਸਾਡੇ ਦਾਦਿਆਂ ਨੇ, ਮਾਂ ਬਾਪ ਨੇ ਬਣਾਈ ਹੋਣੀਆਂ, ਉਹ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਕੋਠੀਆਂ, ਘਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ। But it was a bad ਰਿਵਾਜ. What happened is, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, 4 ਪੈਸੇ ਬਣਾਉਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਵਾਪਸ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਘਰ ਪਾਉਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਕੋਠੀ ਪਾਉਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ। ਖਾਲੀ ਰਹੂਗੀ ਤੇ ਬਿਹਾਰੀ ਤੇ ਭਈਏ ਆ ਕੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿਣਗੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਐਂਡ ਆਈ ਵੈਂਟ ਟੂ ਲਾਈਕ ਜਲੰਧਰ ਏਰੀਆ, ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਵਾਲੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਵਰਗੇ ਪਿੰਡ, ਢੁੱਡੀਕੇ ਵਰਗੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਮਸ਼ਹੂਰ ਪਿੰਡ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਕੋਠੀਆਂ ਪਰ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਖਾਲੀ ਪਈਆਂ। ਐਂਡ when I talk to these students who are coming from India, they see these ਕੋਠੀਆਂ and that's their goal, ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਪਿੰਡ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕੋਠੀ ਪਾਉਣੀ ਆ।
ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਕਿ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਇੱਥੇ 12 ਘੰਟੇ ਦੀਆਂ ਸ਼ਿਫਟਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦਿਖਾਉਣੇ ਹੀ ਆ, ਕੋਠੀ ਬਣਾਉਣੀ ਹੈ, ਟੈਂਕੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਹਾਜ਼, ਫੁੱਟਬਾਲ। ਤੇ ਕੀ ਅੱਜ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਰੋਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਪਿੰਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਲਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਚੁੱਲ੍ਹਾ ਵਗਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਅੱਜ ਸੋਚੀਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਅੱਜ ਮਾਸੀ ਦੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਰੋਟੀ ਖਾਈਏ, ਕਿੱਥੇ ਖਾਈਏ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੰਬ ਦੇ ਦਰਖਤ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਛੋਟੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਕੱਚੇ ਹੀ ਖਾ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਕਿਉਂ ਕਿ ਹੋਰ ਨਾ ਖਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ। ਤੇ ਉਹ ਰੋਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਿਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਉਹੀ ਅੰਬ ਪੱਕ ਕੇ ਥੱਲੇ ਡਿੱਗੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ, ਕੋਈ ਖਾਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਪਿੰਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਆ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਮੌਤ ਆਈ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਘਰ ਇੰਨੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਕੋਠੀਆਂ, ਤਾਲੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਕੋਠੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ। So that fashion of us going and flaunting our cash has caused the huge migration problem.
So for me, is that time has passed where our parents' generation did this, but the new generation that's coming in, the influx of students, instead of in their mind they think that, hey, I got to go to Punjab and flash my money and I got to build my house and kothi there, because they will do it because they're connected to the land. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 20 22 25 ਸਾਲ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਤੀਤ ਕੀਤੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਰਹੂਗਾ, their childhood, right? We need to speak to those individuals and put this in their mindset that you're more educated now. You understand the issues.
Scare them. You go there and flaunt your cash, you're probably going to get robbed. With the crime rate that's going up in Punjab.
What I'm saying is, you tell them that you're more educated now, that you understand the issues, you come abroad, and yes, you're connected to the land in Punjab. Instead of building a kothi, look at the needs of your pind.
Absolutely.
Does your pind need a shamsham cart, right? Does it need a place that people, like ਸਾਡੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਹਨਾ ਲੋਕ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਖੇਤਾਂ 'ਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫੂਕਦੇ ਆ, right? ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਸਕਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ. Our pind doesn't need another kothi. ਜੇ ਉਹ ਪੈਸੇ can be put towards a cremation home.
Yeah.
Or that money can be put towards some sort of de-addiction center that the pind can run, or the panchayat can run, because panchayaਤਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਆਪਦੀਆਂ ਜ਼ਮੀਨਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ.
Yeah.
There's ਜ਼ਮੀਨ that the panchayat looks over, right? Those can be funded to do a project, right? And Amritpal Singh had this idea that ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ, his own ਨਿੱਜੀ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ 7 ਕਿੱਲੇ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ 8 ਕਿੱਲੇ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਹੈ, he wanted to build a de-addiction center, a school and a hospital there. Invest in these. Invest in good Granthi Singhs in your pind. Invest in proper like Gurdwara management, because Gurdwara has a huge role in a pind. It's a center house, right? It's a community center. But on top of that, look at the needs of your pind. So your pindan ਦੀ ਕੀ ਲੋੜ ਆ? Instead of me thinking ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਾਪੂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਯਾਦਗਾਰ ਬਣਾਉਣੀ ਆ, ਹਨਾ, wouldn't it be better to make a yadgar in honor of him that is a cremation house than to build a gate in the front saying eh Lal Singh da pota Gurkeerat Singh ne banaya hai na? Like just thinking those idea on that perspective.
So the phase 1 of the MyPin project is exactly that. So what we do for you is we send researchers to your village. They do a deep dive of your village. They do, real in-depth analysis, whether that's the pind's health, the sewage systems, the environmental needs, the soil fertility needs, the water level dropping needs, the education needs of the schools within a village, the gurdwaras and the other religious institutions. And they generate a report which tells you what exactly your village needs to become better.
Yeah.
And that becomes a starting point, because it's actually done by research. It's done by researchers that are professionals in this academic sphere, that they know exactly what to be looking for in a village. The people that have created this questionnaire, we've spent 6-7 months creating it using the sustainability and development goals from the United Nations, working backwards from that. And the report that generates from it will give you a clear indication of what is the need of your village. Like whether it says it's Shamshin Cart, is it a store sheller, is it the sewage systems, that need an actual processing plant, is it groundwater depletion, is it you've got some kind of air pollution, is it your soil fertility in your village, is it the health of your village? So with one of the days where they're there, they spend 4 or 5 days in your village, one of the days they do a health camp. So it's a free health camp for the villages. You can go there, get yourself tested out. But for us, it's a data grab. So we're understanding, is there an issue with blood pressure? Is there an issue with the dietary needs? Is there an issue with the cancer? And what is the root cause? If there's a correlation between the data, what's causing that? Is it the diet of the village? Is it environmental factor? Then how do we then tackle that issue? So it's kind of, to start off anything, you need to do like let's just say like a baseline assessment. And this is that baseline assessment on a specific pin level. That is the launch of the MyPin project, which then goes on to phase 2 and phase 3, which will be discussed kind of later on.
I mean, those families have been living abroad for 40, 50, 60 years. They can easily help their pin.
Yeah.
It's not something that's far-fetched. With the conversion rates, with the high earnings that they have.
And it doesn't have to be one family. It could be 15 families come together, yeah.
Yeah, ਹੁਣ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਈ ਪਰ ਹਰੇਕ ਪਿੰਡ ਦਾ 10, 15, 20 ਬੰਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਆ.
Yeah.
And instead of going there and flaunting your money, be like, here, we're here to be an asset to you guys. And
Absolutely.
It's important. That's what's important. You're going to solve so many issues with this Saving Punjab project. Maharaj ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁਣ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਜਾਣਗੇ, even if they're living abroad, when they take their families there and their kids there, and the kids are engaging with and learning about the issues that their parents are helping with. I'll give you an example. ਕੋਈ ਕਬੱਡੀ tournament ਕਰਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਿਆਣਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ is involved in a kabaddi tournament in our pind, right? If you're helping on the ground with people who are in medical camps, right, or helping them make sure that they're harvesting in a better economical way that's better for the land, and so their kids will be involved in that. They will be know, hey, this is our land, we're going back to Punjab. ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਤੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਪੰਜਾਬ 'ਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਜੋਗੇ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ, ਹਨਾ। ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਾਰਜ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਮਹੀਨਾ ਵੈਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਕੱਟ ਲਈ and we get the nice 3-piece suits, we put on the chalet and the mundra and then we go there flashing our bling. You're useless, man.
Could I ask you a question?
Hanji.
I think we should have started with this, but I think it's good to put in here. We've talked so much about Punjab and Punjabiyat and Sikhi and why it's important. Imagine if I'm a person that's born in this country, which I am, but I don't have any care about what's happening in Punjab. I go to work here, I've got my nice family here, I've got everything I need here. Why do I need to care about Punjab? What would you say to that person watching this right now in their house, whether they're born in this country or Canada or in the diaspora? Why should they care about Punjab?
I call this a silent genocide. When I give this example the other day, Maharaja Ranjit Singh was the king of Punjab, right? Sher Punjab. He came, his son was abducted, brought to England, and his grandson's name was Victor. In 3 generations, from a king to becoming Victor the Leap, he lost his identity, he lost his language, he lost his culture, he lost his faith, he lost his pehrava. Everything that their ancestors possessed. We look at the Aboriginal people in America and Australia, completely, the only thing they got is their roop and the rang, their facial structures, body structures, and the color of their skin.
Culture side, right?
Yeah, everything else has been whitewashed. Same with the black people. You can try to assimilate into this society as much as you want, but these people will never accept you. You'll always be in their minds Indian. As Punjabi, Punjab has always been separate than India. But you can have a black president, Barack Obama, but the blacks will never be treated equal in America. But they've given up everything. Their faith, their religion, their language, their culture, everything, their food, they've given up everything. But ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਆ, ਕੱਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ. If the most important thing you have is your rich heritage, your language, your culture, your faith, where you come from. And today, this is how I define a genocide. If you don't speak the same language as your grandfather, don't eat the same food as him, don't look like him, that's a genocide. We're going through a silent genocide. Genocide just doesn't mean that they kill you with bullets or rob and loot your houses. We are being destroyed as a community, as people, and our heritage is being stripped from us. And we've seen other societies that this has happened to, and they're vanished from this earth. If we want to truly connect to Punjab, if our heritage is important, a person needs to look deep down inside of them and think, hey, what the problem is, the people who ask those questions, they've accepted being a British Sikh or American Sikh or a Canadian Sikh. They've accepted that as their identity. Why have they accepted that as their identity? Because their experiences and their environment is of the West, is of England, is of Canada, is of America. And they think this is my house, this is my home.
This is home, yeah.
But when their psyche no longer remains that of a Punjabi, the Punjabiyat is gone. And that is the cultural whitewashing that's happened to us. Colonialism wasn't just when the British came to Africa, India, or Europe, or America.
It's the Stockholm syndrome of
it's what we're going through right now. And it's really, really important to realize that the self-insecurity, the insecurity that you're a Punjabi. Some people told me that when they were kids, they used to think, why was I born a Punjabi? Why isn't my skin white? Right? And some people listening to this will have this thought. When you're a minority in any country, you're always going to feel like you need to assimilate and become like the other people. When you go to Punjab, you're the majority there. All your festives are there. Your whole itihas is there. Your Guru Sahib's charan utthe pe ya, ude Shaheed Singh da khoon doliya. You'll take some pride in your people. And we as first or second generation Sikhs living abroad, we've lost that pride because we're disconnected from the land.
Yeah.
Those people who are coming today, they still have that pride. But they'll be struggling financially, but they'll have that connection to Punjab. By the third generation, they'll be secure financially, but the connection to Punjab will be lost. So what are we gaining? And Bhai Amritpal Singh would say this to me. He would say the only thing we gained by coming to the West is we become financially secure. Everything else is dissipating and disappearing with our people. We only got the roop and the what's money? Money doesn't buy happiness. Money doesn't buy peace. there's a certain point you get to in your life.
Is money going to be able to buy the laws if they ever change in the future to say that you can't wear a kirpan?
Yeah, and that's what I say. Like, we in Canada, we have the right to wear a kirpan, but we don't wear it because it's a shastra.
Article of faith, is it?
It's a symbol, a religious symbol. Right? And we had to change the terminology of our guru to be according to what this Western society and their courts accepted to be granted the right to wear a kirpan. Kal nu sadi kirpan te ban lag jave.
Where do you go?
Where do you go? You have no home. You sort of dastar te ban lag jave.
What happens
Kithe
in
jaoge?
France? Look,
Right?
there's Singhs that they were sharing passport photos because of something, and the 3 or 4 passport photos I saw is the Singh's just got a gutti on his head. He's a 60-year-old Buzurg. We look up to him like he's, you know, an amazing Singh in France. Then when I saw his passport photo, I was like, what's going on here? They don't let him wear the star in their passport photos.
Yeah.
So you can see that, you know, where do you go? The Citizenship Amendment Act that came into the UK, if they wanted to, they could send you back. If your grandparents or your great-grandparents weren't born in this country, technically, and look, if you just see what happened in the, I think it was a few months ago, maybe a month ago in London, it was on November the 11th, when it was Remembrance Day against, you know, the people protesting for Palestine. You saw that side of the far right in the UK showing their ugly head again. Them coming out, them screaming, go back home, you don't belong here, you know, and that is always going to be. I remember sitting when the World Cup was coming out, when I was with my wife, we went somewhere to eat and we were sitting there. And I remember a group of young lads walked past and they Nazi saluted me. And I sat there for ages. At first, you know, all sorts of thoughts came into my head. But my missus said, just look at me, calm down, calm down. But it made me really think, like, no matter what you do, how you do, your pehrava, you know, even physically, you don't belong here. You know, those Punjabis that have, you know, heart issues, and, you know, I was a little bit unwell for a bit, and the doctor said to me, you're biologically not made for this country. You're biologically made to live in a hot climate where you could digest what you're eating easier.
Yeah.
Your pigments in your skin, you know, why do you have vitamin D deficiency? Because you don't get the same sun that your body is made for biologically.
Genetically, we're not built for these countries.
Not.
And I'll say one thing. I was reading a book, and the person in the book was saying that the doctors nowadays are recommending that you eat the same food that your grandparents ate, because that's what your body is built for.
That's why I have 5 paratha every morning. But I can't digest them. That's the only problem. You know, like in terms of...
If you use chakki da atta and you pieced it yourself, bande pache ne.
Absolutely. Obviously, when that guy, I suffered that racial kind of Nazi salute. I remember that same evening they were singing "Football's Coming Home," and I remember thinking, "This isn't home."
No.
This is, you know, we say football's coming home. Obviously, England loses every single time anyway. But this is not home, nor will it ever be home. And I think it's, especially that next generation, 75% of your population live there. Your history, Guru Nanak Maharaj, Paragat utthe hoya. They could have chose anywhere in this world where Aap Narayan came to that dharti. Our history, our heritage. And you look at examples of places where, you know, history becomes mythology when people leave the land. Look at Egypt, look at the Mayans, look at, you know, where now there's conspiracy videos thinking, how were the pyramids built? Because they were eradicated, they moved, they displaced, whether it was because of drought or whatever it is that happened there, we don't know the history of that place now. So, like, there's so many other examples of why a person born in the West should still be in touch with his roots. Language being one of them. Language is directly related to your outcomes and your future. Why? They say language determines your values, values determine your behavior, and behavior determines your outcomes. In Punjabi, there's words that, you know, you'd never even exist in the British culture. Someone was telling me once, in Punjabi, you've got Taya, Chacha, Fuffar, Mama, all these for a male uncle. And what's the word in English? Uncle. There's one word. In Punjabi, it's so rich and diverse how many, like, specific words you've got.
I'll give you another example. Like, aapa kehande face.
Yeah.
English, hai na? Punjabi ch chehra, mukhda,
Guddo,
muh.
yeah.
Hai na? Kisi ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਤੇ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਦਾ ਬੁੱਥਾ
Yeah, boot.
the word represents the face shakal
Yeah.
and the word is representing face, but the emotion behind each word
Yeah.
if you're upset at someone, you say the
Butti.
butti ki idaਂ ਦੀ ਤੇਰੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ
Yeah.
and ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਮਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਪੁੱਤ ਦਾ ਮੁਖੜਾ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਸੋਹਣਾ
Bukhara, yeah.
ਹੈ ਨਾ
Yeah.
like it just the emotion is connected to the language, which you don't find in English.
Yeah, even like the word for sorry, I said this before, the word for sorry in Punjabi, it is not very prominently used. Maafi is a Hindi word.
ਅੱਛਾ ਜੀ
And I normally laugh about this. I say, like, the reason we don't have a word for sorry is because we never make any mistakes. So, but in terms of like the language itself is so important. Like just, I tested, you remember last time by Sukhdeep Singh, but like go out there and try to learn words and test your parents. I remember I didn't know the difference between a nair and a nadi. Yeah, like river and canal, one's man-made, one's natural, like all them kind of words, even like understanding percentage, pratishat, geographical area, bhagolic khetar. Like I'm not a natural Punjabi, like but sade maapiyan ne galan kat ke sanu sikhani hai, like you know, but parents used to be like, we don't understand any of the language, you only speak in Punjabi.
exactly
And this is something I am trying to implement. You know, I'm quite unsuccessful with it. Hopefully Bharat's Kirpa will be more successful. But when you have children, make sure you only speak Punjabi with them. Yeah, just pretend like you don't understand any other language. But the first few years is very important to instill that Maboli within them.
The first 4 years, that's also to say.
Yeah.
What me and my Singh do to grow our Punjabi vocabulary on our fridge, we write like 5 words of the week, and we have to use those words every single day in our conversation, in Punjabi conversation, so our vocabulary grows, right? And it's awesome because ek paase toda your shabd kosh, your vocabulary is growing. On the other hand, like you're understanding this language, and sometimes I throw words out there that my parents don't even understand anymore because they're just typical conversational Punjabi, right? But generally in depth how rich the Punjabi is. You try to read like Dr. Bhai Veer Singh or Bhai Puran Singh or Bhai Randir Singh, right? The language is so rich. Yeah, so rich. And
you could read the same book in English and it'd never have the same feeling.
Yeah.
It's like watching Harry Potter and reading Harry Potter. There's a difference between reading the book and watching. It's the same if you read something in Punjabi and you read it in English. Zameen asmaan da fark hai. When you read something in Punjabi, just the words, they have so much depth, every single word. So like one of the things that we say take away from this is usually get in touch with your maa boli. If you can't read Punjabi is actually statistically one of the easiest languages to learn. It's not hard to learn. I think it was, last time I checked, don't quote me on this, but it was like the 8th easiest language to learn in the entire world. Why, you know, there's a courses from Buru Sahib that you could learn the basics of Punjabi in like 2-week course, a crash course. So there's ways of doing it. I'm not saying that's the way you should do it.
I tell people, you come to me, I can teach you Punjabi in 3 months. To read.
There you go.
To read and write Punjabi, give me 3 months, I'll teach it to you.
But everything comes from Uddam.
Yeah.
You have to take that step. And unless you commit yourself and think, okay, New Year's is coming up, guys. Let's put ourselves a New Year's resolution. If you don't know Punjabi, learn it. If you know Punjabi, speak it more. Say to your parents, say to your siblings, say to your kids that we're going to speak Punjabi and make that pledge that we're going to try to speak more Punjabi at home and start learning more about your history and start caring more about Punjabi.
And put yourself in discomfortable places where you have to speak Punjabi to people.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you
go live in Punjab.
Yeah.
Like Sukhdeep Singh's going to go for us.
or even if like you meet someone at the grocery store, right? And they're in Sikhi Surup Deva Dastar Dada, and you know they speak. We're doing this. We actually spoke about doing this all in Punjabi first. But we decided, hey, we want to talk to the demographic 6 living abroad and make sure that they understand what we're saying. But go to the grocery store and start speaking Punjabi to someone, right? Or go sit down with your grandmother.
If they're Punjabi.
Yeah, if they're Punjabi. I meant like,
Chinese guys say.
Understand
what you're saying.
Yeah, and same thing with like your grandparents. Sit down with your grandparents and speak Punjabi to them.
There's words that our grandparents use that our parents don't use. Like, prime example, risk.
Yeah.
How many Punjabis now say the word risk? Risk, my mum never heard the word jokum, which is the word for risk. But my grandparents knew it. They're like,
jokum?
Jokum. Jokum is the actual word for risk.
What's khatra?
Khatra is danger.
See, look at that.
Yeah. And I only realized that. I was sitting on TV, I was talking about pesticides, and I was like, risk, yeah. And I knew the word for pesticides, I didn't know the word for risk. I was like, what's the word for this? I remember searching it and it was jokum. And I said, Mum, have you ever heard of jokum? She was like, no, Sita Sorniani.
Yeah.
When I spoke to, someone that was my grandma from my wife's side, I asked her, she's like, Han jokum barte hunde se loves. Like, even like, there's so many words like that. You ask someone in school, in Punjab, school jana, they don't say main vidyalay or utte padhn jana.
Pathsala.
Yeah, pathsala. They don't say, they say teacher ne aa Teacher's an English word.
Yeah.
They don't say adhyapak. Even cup.
Yeah.
What's the Punjabi word for cup? There's so many words that we have crept in. It's become like a hybrid. Even in Punjab, it's becoming a hybrid language.
I'm not going to test you, but when I first heard the Punjabi word for a rainbow, I was shocked. Like Satarangi Ping.
I've never heard that.
Like a rainbow, Satarangi Ping.
Sounds like a song.
Yeah, I read it in my Granth and I was like, what's a Satarangi Ping?
Even pentagon in Punjabi.
I'm not sure what that is.
Panch Paj.
Okay.
Yeah. Triangle. I asked him last time, was it? Yeah, see, we got something out of this. We've got to learn what triangle is.
Like a four-way stop is Chorasta. Right?
Yeah.
And 5 is Panjarasta. Right? So it's just...
Varg, like a square or a chorus, a square, kind of a different type of square. So there's so many words. Even like in terms of, I remember I saw a map of Punjab. It had a river, it had cheel, it had a khal. A khal is like a suwa, like a spring, a joa. There's so many words.
There's like nali, suwa.
Nali, it's such a beautiful language.
It's Punjabi words.
It's so beautiful in itself, the language itself. And so we have to preserve that language. There's so many words that we want to be able to preserve, and there's so many words that we have forgotten that we need to start bringing in, and like basically let's reinvent and revamp what Punjabi was. Let's make sure the next generation have got a better Punjabi than what we had.
Definitely.
It feels like we've come to the end of the discussion, and just before we finish off, I think one of the first questions which I think was missed and not answered for Gurpreet Singh, I think it was talked about offline. When did this drug influx come into Punjab? Because we started off talking about Punjab in 47 onwards, and the Surme of Punjab, and many of these topics. But when did the actual drugs start coming in? You talked about this correlation. So when was that?
Statistics of economy dropped after 2001 and the drugs rose. So it was in correlation after the 80s. In the 90s, the drugs started to show their face. And then in the 2000s, they just skyrocketed.
Can we say that this drug pandemic in Punjab is
post-genocidal after the 80s.
Is this state sponsored?
I can't say that it exactly is because you can't prove that. My personal, as an organization, we can't say everything happening in Punjab is state sponsored. But if you were to ask me personally, the government could have done so much more to stop this if they wanted to. It's a form of neglect. It's a form of lack of intervention, and the fact that they haven't put any interventions in place shows to me that there's probably something more malicious at play.
Say my relative's addicted to drugs and they're sitting in Punjab today. What can someone do to help them?
So you could firstly find out the root cause of where the drug problem's coming from in that family. Is it because of unemployment? Is it because of economy? Is it because of peer pressure? What is causing that person to resort to drugs? So you need to understand it from a root cause of tackling exactly where that person is. We have got, hopefully, coming soon, a bank of resources of organizations that are dealing with topics like drugs, mental health and all these things that we will signpost and push you towards saying, look, there's an organization that's run from Australia called Kick Drugs. They're doing so much work in Punjab. There's many organizations like that we could then kind of refer you to, put referrals in, oversee that, making sure that you could get that help to your family member. The last thing you should do is throw money at the solution because money's cheap. It's easy to think, I'm going to throw money, it's not my headache anymore. You have to tackle it like tackling a bull by the horns. You need to understand the grassroots of it. If that was your own child, you wouldn't just think, I'm going to throw money at it. You would want to understand exactly why it's happening, what the root causes, and then you're more successful in understanding what the root causes than sending them to a rehabilitation center, them coming out of a rehabilitation center, and the same where it was a psychiatric need, what was it? That if it's still not fulfilled, they're going to go back to drugs. So it's understanding and getting a deeper analysis of what the situation is on a specific level. And we will hopefully in the future have individuals and programs in place that would then we can start referring people or doing that work ourselves.
These stats that you shared today, is there a place where someone can go, access to them?
Yeah, so savingpunjab.org or Saving Punjab, our website, our social media has pretty much all the stats already on there.
Yeah.
Universities, if you want to book a talk or you want us to come out, from one of our volunteers to come out and deliver like a crash course on what's happening in Punjab today, we can come out and do that. It's like an hour and a half seminar, which kind of goes through the whole situation, understanding and unpicking exactly like the timeline of events, but like the current situation. So understanding how we got to where it was. But we need everyone to be a researcher. We need all of you guys sitting at home. Don't take my word for what I said. Go away and reference it. See if my references are correct. Go away and check and see, is there real examples? Imagine if we just had 100 Naujwans sitting in a room and we said to them, Naujwan, you've got 5 hours to find out what the best solutions to the drug problem are. Have a think tank, have a hackathon. And this is the kind of things that we want you guys to come to us and say, Saving Punjab is not mine. This is ours. Say, we want to do this with Saving Punjab. Help us set it up. We will help you however we can set up these think tanks. We did one in Vancouver. We did one in Leeds a few weeks ago. We're doing a few more coming forward, where we want these young, intelligent minds to come forward and they can come up with some brilliant ideas. What they do is they look at other examples around the world and how they tackle the issue, what kind of things can be bought for from, and you never know, from that think tank, you might have a brilliant idea that you could roll out and push forward. So they're the kind of things like, if you're studying at university, do your dissertation project, do your final assessment or your thesis on Punjab, because it's an investment for you to invest back into something that you can actually use in the future. That data we can use, that data you have presented, we can help you with the data that you're collecting. We've already got researchers. So if you want to do something, we're small at the moment, we're in our early years, it's been a few years now, but we want to grow this not just to an organization that's so limiting. I don't want to be known as Gurkeerat Singh from Saving Punjab. I want Saving Punjab to be known as 100 people that are doing this. A team, a revolution. It's not an organization. It should be a revolution where the diaspora, from this awareness campaign, then decides, okay, we're going to take this information forward and we're going to do something with it in Punjab and then change Punjab. Because if we don't do it in this generation, you probably know this yourself, if we can't tackle this now in our lifetimes, are the next generation going to be able to do it?
Yeah,
it's going to become a lot more distant.
What I see is sometimes people think that this is like in India and on a different continent, and this is not going to affect us living here in the West. But I feel like I mentioned it earlier, the influx of students that are coming from India to abroad, they're bringing these issues with them, right? And we're going to see this creep into our Goindval Sahibs. We're going to see this creep into our societies, and they're going to grow into bigger issues.
Yeah.
Bigger issues here as well. So it's not just something that's in Punjab. It has a very, very close-knit connection with where we're living today. And with the large numbers that are coming from Punjab, those people cannot be ignored.
Absolutely.
Speak to them. Listen to their issues. Listen to their struggles. And they'll open doors up and networks up to you that you will really be able to make an impact. And the other thing that you mentioned here is those people who are in universities, and you do university talks and same as me, go to those universities and encourage the youngsters to research Punjab and Sikh issues.
Absolutely.
If someone asks me, hey, what can I do? If you are into graphic design, get in touch with Saving Punjab and help them create graphics, right? If you're doing whatever system field you're in, right? I had a person come up to me in a UCLA university saying he's in cybersecurity. And he started sharing with me, because after Amritpal Singh's arrest, the media blackout that took place, hey, we need to have something in place that we Sikhs can communicate with each other if the state's trying to clamp down on our communication. And so there's so many different fields.
Yeah.
There's so many.
And if it's not Punjab, like I'll give you an example. Go away and research on this if you're listening. Compare Punjab to other problematic states in India. See the resemblance. Look at Kashmir. Kashmir, since the Article 370, has had a 2,000% increase in its de-addiction centres in Srinagar. Also in terms of the ecocide, in terms of what sparked that thought was the media blackouts. Kashmir is the highest in the entire world for media blackouts. Punjab is after that. So you can understand, like in India, the media blackouts, the internet shutdowns, all them things are ways in which you can start thinking, is it just Punjab? You know, you ask me, is it state sponsored? Well, look at the examples of other places where there's been a resistance, whether that is the drugs issue and the alcohol issues in Tamil Nadu, Assam, Nagaland, and Kashmir, Punjab. All these areas are areas where the issues you will see. Especially, I was doing a study on the Kashmir issue. So there was a study that was released last year, and it was India's biggest dementia screening. And from this dementia screening, they said that 11% of the 60-plus-year-olds have got some form of dementia in Kashmir. And that statistic is huge. 11% of the over 60-year-olds. So there's within that study, there was a deeper study that links dementia directly to trauma. And the statistic that came out of it, that within Kashmir, 1 in 4 people have witnessed the death of a loved one or someone personal within their lifetime, which has caused trauma. So you can see the trauma, the post-genocidal, the post-traumatic stress disorders, the infertility that's coming from that. And the infertility rates of Kashmir, how they link to infertility rates in Punjab. If you look at the infertility rates in Punjab, infertility is caused by a few things, the health, the pani, but one of the biggest contributors to infertility is also drugs. So drugs are making people infertile, even to the point where if you want to go get a barat in Punjab now, or you know, there's places, pinds that don't have barats, but if there is, they say jacket test karao. If you want to get married first, get tested first, that you can have kids. And those people that can't have kids, they're going to sperm donors. And who is populating the sperm banks? It's not Punjabis.
No.
So the seed of Punjab, that Sheput Gabru de Punjabi jada, is being changed, you know, whether it's, you could say directly, overtly or covertly, is being changed. So like, again, there's so much that I want to say. There's so much that it's going to go on for hours and hours. I think it's probably a good place to stop. But again, if anyone wants to do a study, see the similarities between these problematic states and see why is it happening in this state and this state also.
No, thank you. I think that was really good. I learned a lot today, and I appreciate you sharing that with us.
And I just want to say, you know, you're one of the only people I know that spent time and gone back to Punjab because you care about Punjab. For me, you're a role model because you've done something I can't do yet. So, you know, you're an inspiration that I would, you know, say to the people out there that want to do something and you've got nothing else to do, go and sit in Punjab, go experience Punjab, go live in Punjab.
I was speaking to a couple of people yesterday, and we were talking about, hey, what if we just take on 6 months and go try to find a job in Punjab, be an employee there, see if you can get employed in a university or in a factory or something, and see what it feels like to just live as a Punjabi. And the thing about people in Punjab, what I learned was they test you before they trust you. And it's good, right? Yeah. So until like you don't go in there and you don't mix with them and they'll test you and see you, push your buttons and see what this person's about. And sometimes that happens to us and we get turned off and we come back. We're like, man, you'll take jana wapas, right? But once you pass that point, they take you into their arms and then they're like your best friends and your brothers for life kind of thing, right? Absolutely. And that's what I feel like today. And
you know, no matter how much we spoke badly about Punjab, well, not badly about the situation in Punjab, I had a friend he's 30-something years old, 35, his first time he ever went to Punjab in his entire life. So he didn't know what to expect. And he basically said that the energy still there because that ground, that land that you walk on is enriched with the blood of our Shaheeds. The energy is still phenomenal. Yeah. Like you can't take you know, even now I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about Punjab. That the energy of that ground is something else.
Do you know, like when you go to the pind and you're sitting at night, you got the manja, baad barande daya hunda, and you're sleeping under the sky with stars, like, and you wake up in the morning and you wake up. So you go to sleep.
You got birds sitting on you.
You got the birds chirping and you got Gurbani playing. That feel the fresh air.
And the sunrise.
The sunrise. You're waking up to the sunrise. You can't sleep. And the pollution is out there, and it's just beautiful, beautiful land, and it's just magical. Would
you rather live, you know, a king and have all the stresses, or have do prashad a day and live that kind of lifestyle in a pind?
I
think we need to go back to our basics.
Yeah, when I was studying in Punjab, Vidya, Gurmati Vidya, I remember for 4 months, the char diwari that was there, I didn't leave it because to me that was like a safe haven. Like I could be there, and I just Guru di gal hunde sige, Gurbani padde sige. You don't want to go anywhere else, right? And that experience, that environment can only be created there. The energy, it's like having a fertile land and a land that you can't grow anything in. ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਬੀਜੀ ਜਾਓ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੁਛ ਉੱਗਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ. Very difficult, you have to struggle a lot. And I feel like when you go to ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਚਰਨ ਪਏ ਇੰਨੀ ਭਗਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਆ. It's so fertile. You go there, you start doing ਬਾਣੀ, you do your ਸਿਮਰਨ ਅਭਿਆਸ, ਮਨ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਟਿਕ ਜਾਂਦਾ anywhere. And then that gets expedited when you go to Harmandir Sahib or anywhere else.
Yeah. Should we? I could carry on. You guys tell us when.
I think this is definitely a good place to end it, finishing on a high, on a great topic. So thank you so much to Bhai Gurpreet Singh, to Bhai Gurkeerat Singh ji for coming on to this special podcast. Hopefully we could do it again in the future, even if it's yourselves or other guests. So for the Sangha that be listening, please let us know what you like to see in the future. If you've got any questions for these guys, then please send that in. But we'll finish off there. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Waheguru ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru ji ki Fateh.